Hello and welcome back to another Cobra Kai video. In this video, we will look at why the editing in Cobra Kai is so good and is something that takes the show to the next level of goodness. Let's begin! Before we continue, I am going to give my usual spoiler warning. If you have not seen all 3 seasons of Cobra Kai, please turn the video off right now. Otherwise, enjoy! Alright, so first, let's get on the same page of what I mean by editing. When a show is made, there are generally 4 steps. A script is written, the show is acted and filmed, then it is edited, and then it is scored. The process of editing is about taking the footage from the set with the actors and putting it in the right order to make the show. Most of the time, the actors will do multiple takes of each scene, so the editor will also have to decide which of these multiple takes is best and will end up in the final show. The editor also decides which camera angles to show at which times. When you're watching the show, you don't really notice it, but the camera cuts to a different view every few seconds, sometimes even less. Put simply, without the editor, the show would not exist. The first example that we will look at is from Season 2, when Daniel shows up to Johnny's apartment and they have a little face-off. During this sequence, the camera cuts back and forth between the fight at the apartment and their infamous fight at the 1984 All-Valley Tournament. However, the camera will also cut when they are in similar stances. For example, look at Johnny here, and then Johnny here. You see what I mean? Now this is the full scene, played with the flashbacks. Take a moment to absorb it. Personally, I think this was an excellent way to start the episode. Emotional, yet important, yet deep and thought-provoking. Okay, so now look at this scene if I remove the flashbacks. See how much it differs? The flashbacks really add to Daniel's thought of,
"You want to finish this?"
Editing a fight scene specifically is also difficult because you want to make sure the audience can understand what is going on, yet still feel engaged and excited. Another excellent example of when this is done is during the mid-season Season 3 fight. This was actually a combination of the Cobra Kai students fighting the Miyagi-Do students at the arcade laser tag place, and Robbie fighting Sean and his friend at the detention center. If it was made such that they were back-to-back instead of interwoven through each other, it would have hidden much of the parallels that we can see, although this would probably have been a writing decision, not an editing decision. Towards the end of the sequence, we see that Dimitri is being pinned down by Hawk, and the camera cuts to Robbie being pinned down by the guards at the detention center. It's only 2 shots, but it still shows the parallel quite nicely. I will note that the camera cuts to a shot of Sam hiding in the corner while Hawk breaks Dimitri's arm, and this is likely to reinforce the notion that she is not doing anything to help him, which comes up later in the episode. If the camera was on Hawk and Dimitri the whole time, that would not really help sell the fact that Sam is hiding and not doing anything. Moving on to our next example, from Season 1 this time and a non-fighting scene, is the very last scene from Season 1 when Kreese appears at the Cobra Kai dojo for the first time, announcing to Johnny that he is, in fact, alive and breathing. Now the camera could stay on Kreese's face the whole time, and this would actually make sense as he is the only one speaking. However, the camera does not do this. Instead, it cuts back and forth between Johnny and Kreese, showing Johnny's facial reaction to what Kreese is saying. This is generally done in all scenes, but it has an important effect here. At the very beginning of the scene, the shot of Kreese standing in the doorway is seen from behind Johnny's shoulders, which can be seen as coming from Johnny's point of view. In fact, perspective and points of view take a large part in this series, and it really shines through upon analyzing the editing. Notably, Johnny's face is the last shot of the episode, and the season for that matter, instead of Kreese's. This just reminds the audience that Johnny is annoyed and upset at Kreese's return and betrayal, and a subtle hint of what is to come in the next episode. Now you can see this all the time in this show, and other shows, where to transition between 2 scenes, the audio from the second scene starts before the camera cuts. It is such a simple edit, yet has such a dramatic difference in output, for the better. Our next example comes from the Season 3 finale, when Hawk sees Dimitri getting beaten up and turns to go save him. The writers always do an excellent job of putting little lines throughout the season to make these scenes just so good. Like, at the end of Season 2 is another good example of this. Anyways, the contrasting order between Kreese's statements and Johnny's statements brings out their differences, and you can clearly hear the dilemma playing out in Hawk's head. Yet, even though Kreese is the last one to speak, Hawk still sides with Johnny. I think this has something to do with what Kreese is saying, though, that the enemy of your enemy is your friend. Then the camera cutting to what Hawk is seeing, it just really helps sell the scene. And the slow-mo, the slow-mo is just absolutely perfect. And then the speed ramp at the end, just absolutely amazing. There's also the example at the beginning of Season 2, when Johnny flashes back to when he was caught in the stronghold of Kreese from Karate Kid 2. This is admittedly more of a visual effects shot than an editing shot specifically, but it's still cool to look at. Here, the mirror distorts the image, and fades from Johnny holding Kreese to Kreese holding Johnny, really showing the parallel quite nicely. However, the mirror shards have an added effect, showing that Johnny is remembering this, not just a flashback for the sake of the audience. The last example is from Season 3, where Daniel is looking at a bonsai tree and remembers Mr. Miyagi teaching him how to trim it for the first time. It's subtle, but young Daniel fades out while Mr. Miyagi stays, giving normal Daniel and Mr. Miyagi. It's just an excellent touch that really makes the scene shine through. Of course, these are only some of the examples where the editing really shines through, but throughout every single scene, there are a whole lot of creative editing decisions that are each small in their own right, but when taken together, produce something incredible. In this case, Cobra Kai. So yeah, the editing on Cobra Kai just elevates its goodness. I hope you were able to take something away from this video. If you want more videos on the editing in Cobra Kai, let me know down below. Also, tell me what other content you'd like to see in the future. I could probably make a whole video about the full flashback to the 1984 tournament at the beginning of Season 1, if you'd like. Other than that, take any comments you may have and send them to the internet.